So you need the right map if you want to actually be successful. Let's talk about one of the most popular roadmaps, and that's purchasing real estate, physical real estate. Okay, you purchase property, and here's the deal. You try and find a property that you're going to purchase, let's say $200,000. Now here in Southern California, you're not going to get anything for 200 grand. And if you are, it's going to be not livable. You're not going to be able to live in it. All right. We're talking about a minimum 500, 600 for not even a nice house. Okay. So you're going to have to be like over 800. And in my neighborhood, it's going to be a heck of a lot more than that. So let's just say 200 grand for the sake of, let's say a different state, somewhere else, right? Kansas, I don't know, Detroit, something like that. So let's say you buy a house for $200,000. Now, the thing is you want to finance that, right? Unless you're going to use your own money. Most people don't have 200 grand just lying around that they can just go purchase a house, right? You're going to finance that through the bank. So let's say, you do $1,000 a month in financing, okay? I'm just throwing numbers out there to make it really simple. You're not going to be able to find that probably, but let's just say you could, right? So $1,000 a month, you're going to fix up the property or do some stuff. So you got to put some more money in that. They're going to pay $1,000 a month for that mortgage. Then the goal is to find a tenant that's going to pay you over that $1,000 a month. So you actually are positive cash flow, right? So you're making some money off that. So let's say let's say you rent it out for $1,500, okay? Just make these numbers really simple. Now you're going to have $500 in positive cash flow coming in. So the goal is that's going to net you $500, right? So you do that 10 times and you have a cash flow of $5,000 because you take 10 times, $500 each. So 10 tenants paying you $500 over what you're paying in your mortgage. Again, made up numbers. That's going to give you $5,000 a month. That's the goal. But nobody ever really talks about all the risks and downfalls to doing something like that. And I experienced them. And that's why I completely changed my roadmap. And I'll get to that in a second, because they don't talk about carrying costs. They don't talk about hidden costs and fees. When you purchase it, you're going to pay, a title fee and a bunch of other inspections and all kinds of stuff. Okay. Then they don't talk about maintenance. Okay. To maintain that property. Maybe you get a leaky roof. I don't know about you, but have you ever had to pay for foundation repair? That gets really expensive. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. It can be really expensive. We're not talking about economic downturns, okay? When the market crashes, which is what happened when I was investing. It was back in 2006, market crashed 2007, 2008, and all of a sudden my properties went from being worth 800 grand down to $250,000. Upside down, okay? It's crazy, right? So it happens. They don't talk about bad tenants. If a tenant stops paying you, you know how hard it is to get them out of that house? You got to go to court. There's court fees and all that kind of stuff. And then they don't talk about your credit risk, right? Because if all those things happen and you can't keep paying for that property, you're upside down, your tenant stops paying you, you got to still pay the bank. The bank's not going to go, hey, we understand your tenant didn't pay you. The market's bad now. So hey, don't pay us anymore. We don't care about that. No, they're going to freaking ding your credit. And all of a sudden, because of that, your credit score is lower. You can't buy another car. You can't buy another house. And it takes at least 10 years to rebound from something like that, even if whether you go bankruptcy or don't go bankruptcy. Okay. So lots of risk. Okay. There's a lot of benefits as well, but again, a lot of risk. So what did I do? What was the roadmap that I found that I'm actually going to share with you today? Well, instead of physical real estate, it's digital real estate. And that's something I stumbled upon because I learned all the stuff about doing physical real estate, buying houses, flipping them, doing that stuff, getting tenants. And I'm like, hey, why can't I do this with digital real estate instead, which is websites and stuff like that? So I was like, dude, this is pretty damn awesome because now I don't have the same risk, okay? Because it's not going to cost me $200,000 to build a website, buy a domain name or anything like that. And if you don't understand what a domain name is, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to kind of give you the gist of it, okay? So funny story about digital real estate is that a little over 10 years ago, I actually discovered this because I had written 2 books and I needed to get them, promote them and sell more copies of it. So I had to learn how to do digital marketing. I had to learn how to do all this stuff online. And because of that, I actually had a lot of people coming to me and saying, hey, because again, this is back in 2007, 2008 when the market was crashing and people were like, hey, I need more business for my company because I'm not doing too well, right? So they were coming to me for advice saying, hey, how do I do this YouTube thing? Hey, how do I do this, Google rankings and things like this SEO stuff and all this other stuff that kind of, made their head kind of blow. I was like, hey, I did it myself for myself because I couldn't find anybody else to really do it for me. So they're like, hey, can I pay you money to do this for me? And I'm like, whoa, light bulb idea. I'm like, light bulb moment. Of course, why not? So they're like, hey, here's $1,000 or here's $2,000 or in some cases, here's $5,000. Will you do it for me? And all of a sudden things started to turn. I'm like, hey, I could do digital real estate with this like I was doing with physical real estate. And that's actually how it was born for me. Is I was like, oh, hey, why not do this? It's pretty much the same. So instead of me having to go out, scout out a physical property that I was going to purchase and get a loan from the bank, instead, all I had to do was find a territory online, which was like, okay, well, if I had a realtor in, let's say Pleasanton, California, which is in Northern California, if I had a realtor there and they were like, hey, I want to get more customers, I want to get more leads for my real estate business, well, then I would buy the domain name that would, be in that area. It would cost me about $10, sometimes as little as 99 cents, depending on if it's on special or whatever. So I didn't have to go get a loan from the bank for $10 or anything like that. So it was pretty phenomenal already right there. Then what I did was I would spend about 1 to 3 hours doing the research, and then I would create the page. And back then it took me a lot longer to create a site. Now we actually have software that does this all for us, which is really simple. So instead of 3 hours, I can get it done in like 20 to 30 minutes, which is way cooler because I'm lazy. I like to do other stuff. I like to watch TV, Netflix and kick back and do all that. So that's for me, right? So now if I want to make $5,000 a month in recurring revenue, I don't have to go buy 10 different $200,000 properties, get loans, and then go out and try and find people to rent and all that other, headache and all that risk right there. Instead, all I do is I just need to build 10 different websites. $10 each is my cost at the most, right? Then all I need to do is find 10 clients to take those over. And you know what? Heck, even if I don't get one client in one of the properties, I'm not going to be $200,000 out or, have risk to my credit. Instead, I just pay $10. I can get another one. And then I get a client in that area. And then boom, right there, you got 10 clients paying you $1,000 a month, and I'm making $10,000 a month. I could charge them $500 a month. And then I'm making, $5,000 a month like we talked about. So that's the cool thing about digital real estate is when you have this correct roadmap and you follow the steps laid out, you can do this just as well. How awesome is that? So if this interests you, I want you to go down below, put in your name and email. We've got a training for you. We got a webinar training for you that will explain everything, how everything works. We'll go into more details. If this sounds like something that would interest you, again, go down below to grab your Rockstar Landlord Blueprint right now. All right, be a rockstar in your life, make the world your stage. All right, go down below, click it, click the link, put in your name and email, and I'll see you on the inside.